All right, let's bring our guests into the show now. We have in Amman Hassan Abu Hania, an expert on Islamic movements. In London, Hayed, a Syrian researcher on conflict and Islamic movements. And in Abu Dhabi via Skype, Munzer Akbik, a Syrian opposition figure and former member of the Syrian National Coalition. Welcome to you all. If I could start with Hayed, has Nusra, or Jabhat al-Fath as it's now called, has it changed its ideology? How deep is this rebranding?
For many Syrians that I spoke to before the announcement and even after, and even groups and armed groups inside Syria, I spoke to many of them. All of them, they think that this is just it's not a strategic, it's a tactical move. It's not a change in the strategy of Jabhat al-Nusra for many reasons. One of them is because this happened with the blessing of al-Qaeda. Al-Julani, his appearance in the statement just replicates the appearance of a well-known picture for Osama bin Laden. The wordings, he didn't mention Syria once. He didn't say that we are here to fight for the freedom of the people, and the people have the right to decide what they want to do later on. They come with clear agenda for what they want to do now and later on. And the third one is that they didn't really change even their strategies or policies or the goals they're calling for. They're calling for an Islamic state, but under a different title.
Is there any kind of practical change if it's saying it's cutting its ties with al-Qaeda right now, in terms of how it operates and who gives the orders? I mean, to what extent were people like Ayman al-Zawahiri or his lieutenants in, if we can call them al-Qaeda Global, involved in the day-to-day running of al-Nusra?
For many people, including myself, it's unclear what kind of involvement those figures and leaders have in the day-to-day business that Jabhat al-Nusra is doing inside Syria. But I think what we can at least predict is that all the al-Qaeda figures who were and still part of al-Nusra, or the new title for Jabhat al-Nusra, is they're still inside Syria and they're still active in their role, in the leadership role within the group. So I would assume that they will still have big contribution to the day-to-day work that Jabhat al-Nusra, or the new title, whatever the title is, they're trying to achieve.
Well, Munzer, as a person who's part of the Syrian opposition, you've been a member of the Syrian National Coalition before. When you look at the Syrian opposition situation right now, why do you think al-Nusra is announcing this and making this step now?
It's obviously for, but they are under pressure first, since years now, that they have announced before that they are part of Al-Qaeda, which is the international jihad. Therefore, they are the enemies of the whole international community. And basically, they were the black hole of the Syrian revolution. They undermined the people, the Syrian people struggle for freedom and democracy, and they are actually fighting for something totally different than that. So there were a lot of pressure on them to do that, but they didn't do it for the past years. Now, what they have done yesterday, it seems to many people it's too little, too late. Too little because they are still in the same announcement saying that their leaders are bin Laden and al-Zawahiri, which are the leaders of al-Qaeda. So these people are remaining in al-Qaeda, so even if they change their name. And too late because there is already a Security Council resolution saying that this is a terrorist organization, and it is excluded from the cessation of hostilities.
But they did say that they have no affiliation for any outside group or figures. While they obviously had some respect for the names you mentioned, they didn't say that those will remain their operational and tactical leaders in any way. And they claim that from now on they'll have no affiliation to any outside group. Does that represent any change or difference for what they're now calling themselves?
Yeah, people are skeptical whether the Syrian activists and the Syrian opposition, as well as the international community, that this is a trick. This is not, they are changing their name. They just want to avoid the bombing. Now there is an agreement between the United States and Russia that al-Nusra is a legitimate target, and that anybody can bomb al-Nusra locations. Although me personally, I don't agree that bombing from skies will actually do any good, because there are always collateral damages, and these people are in between civilians and also in between the moderate opposition. So there are always damages that are not useful for this bombing. This kind of people need to be eradicated or removed from Syria in a different way.
All right, let's bring Hassan into the discussion. Listening to our other guests there, not a lot of confidence that this means a change in ideology or strategy, or perhaps even leadership figures. What about tactics? Do you see or expect we'll see any kind of change in terms of tactics? Is the fact that we saw Mohammed al-Jolani for the first time appearing very openly any kind of indication of an appetite for a new sort of open approach to the Syrian people, shall we say?
Undoubtedly, I think that Jabhat al-Nusra has made a sort of a new tactic, and this tactic might be a future strategy. The reference for al-Nusra is the same reference for al-Qaeda, and the change in names doesn't mean a lot. It's only from outside, but we know since September 11, Al-Qaeda is now a system that has no central department or headquarters in Afghanistan or Pakistan or whoever. We have branches in Syria, in the Islamic Maghreb or Jazeera Al-Arab or in Yemen. So this change is similar to what has been done by Al-Qaeda after the Arab Spring through supporting what's so-called Ansar al-Sharia movements that can go with the local shape without really hitting the away enemy, which is the West or Israel. What has been made by al-Jolani is to stress the commitment of Ansar al-Sharia. It's part of the commitment of Al-Qaeda, and it's clear that this change is a result of the pressures practiced on them, particularly in the field, on the ground, because Jabhat al-Nusra has lost, in a way, a sort of the support on the ground since its establishment in 2012.
Let me then, Hassan, let me jump in there then, and trying to get you to narrow down when you said then two very important things. They've lost support on the ground, and you expect some change of tactic. What kind of change of tactics or approach, particularly to the Syrian people, do you expect? I mean, can we expect a different softening of their approach to the Syrian people or to the people it administers or deals with? You, I'm sure, are aware of human rights reports like the Human Rights Watch organization report in 2015, which blamed the group for what it called, quote, widespread violations, targeting of civilians, kidnappings, executions. Do we expect some of that to be, to change as a result of this rebranding?
On the short run, I think Jabhat al-Nusra will get rid of the role of domination that has been adopted since controlling Idlib, the courts and the application of the rulings and the face-to-face confrontation with other groups like Hazm Group or the Revolutionary of Syria of the 13th Group, or applying certain harsh rules on the society. This will be changed in a way, and we will see more coordination with the factions that are close to Jabhat al-Nusra, including the headquarters of Ahrar al-Sham, and there will be new contacts and new channels with other with other factions on the ground, and it will never take unilateral decisions again. On the long run, it said, as al-Jolani has said, according to the statement of yesterday, that it seeks a state, an Islamic state, within the Sharia law and according to the Shura principle through consultation with the other factions.
Right.
There is a change in the way of dealings with the different areas under the control of Jabhat al-Nusra. There will be definitely coordination.
All right, let me bring in Munzer into the discussion. You've raised some good points which I think we want to explore in a minute, but before we get to talking about perhaps the new relationship between al-Nusra or Jabhat al-Fath, as it's now calling itself, and other groups, I want to continue a little bit, Munzer, on the issue of its appeal to the Syrian people. From what you've seen so far and what you've heard so far, any reason to believe that this is going to make them more appealing to the Syrian people?
I don't think so. The reason is that these people are, they have a certain ideology. This is they're calling and they're struggling for a democratic state, a religious state, Islamic state, something like that. This is thousands of miles away from what the Syrian people want. The Syrian people, basically, they have an uprising, a revolution against Assad regime, which is a dictatorship. They wanted freedom and they wanted democracy. This is completely different than what Al-Qaeda wanted. So there are, and at the same time, also in Idlib, where Al-Nusra, they have very strong influence. They already started treating women in pressing women, forcing them for a certain kind of dressing, and other actions they are doing to the people. So they are actually a dictator. They are same like Assad, but in a different way. They are the other side of the coin. So I don't think that they are going to be these kind of ideologies and this kind of state that they're calling for is going to be welcome by the vast majority of the Syrian people. There's no way that the Syrian people are going to welcome something like that. But at the same time, there is only a sentence that he mentioned in the announcement that they are going to basically allow all people to live equally or something like that. This is some kind of a signal that they are giving that the minorities, the people who are other than Muslims, they are just like giving some assurances that they are not going to oppress these people. But it's as I said, it is really too little because everybody knows what these people ideology are.
Okay, got it. Let's, if we can, move the discussion on a little bit to Hayed now. When you listen to that announcement by Mohammed al-Jolani...
Can I just comment on
Sure.
this? Because I have two points to make. The first one is regarding their popularity in Syria. I agree with what the two other colleagues said, that they lost some popularity, but this has changed in the recent time, or recently, because after the cease of hostility was interrupted, what happened is that al-Nusra started gaining more support and more people started joining because they think that al-Nusra can change the dynamics on the ground and then can gain military achievements against Assad. Most of those who are joining or are considering to join al-Nusra right now, they don't think that other groups have the capacity or the efficiency that al-Nusra has when it comes to fighting Assad. This is one issue. The other issue is that we should not forget that the position that other armed groups might have towards al-Nusra might not change, but the position that people on the ground have might, because first of all, what al-Nusra is trying to do here is that they say that we did our part and we distance ourselves from al-Qaeda, but the Americans and the Russians are willing to, they want to kill you anyway, and that has nothing to do with us. And this is why I think people might become more supportive, especially also now that Aleppo is besieged.
Talking about support, then
they need someone
Hayed
to break the siege.
Hayed, we've already heard from Hassan, for example, that he thinks that we might see an alliance or more of an alliance emerging between Fath al-Sham, formerly al-Nusra, and some groups like Ahrar al-Sham. What about other groups? What about even the Western-backed and internationally supported groups under the umbrella of the Free Syrian Army? Do you think we might see any kind of different change of or dynamic in the relationship between Nusra and the FSA?
I think at this point everyone is waiting to see how the Americans and the Russians will react to this announcement. But on a different note, what used to happen between Al-Nusra and other groups is that they will coordinate militarily and they will have joint operational rooms. And this will continue from, in my personal opinion, this will continue to be the case because the opposition groups cannot alone operate and fight Assad on different fronts. So they need Al-Nusra to be part of the fight. If we are talking now about a different kind of cooperation, whether like to merge or to be part of one group, I think this is something that will not take place anytime soon because many people are still scared of the consequences of such action. This is why that cooperation will, I think, be limited on the military level and strategic or more complete merging will not take place anytime soon.
All right.
Just on the tactical issue, I just remember something to say here. Al-Nusra recently, they changed their membership procedures. Before, it used to be an elite group that only accepts verified people after Sharia training and after military training. Recently, they've changed that, and they are now more open to accept anyone who's willing to join them.
Right,
so
okay.
This is a tactical move that we recently noticed.